Welcome to another episode of Core Reviews. My name's Legacy.
And I'm Max.
I'm Bobby.
The J.
E3, if you could do the honors.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Because it is October for our movie American Psycho. This movie is quite the movie. It's also a psychological thriller. At the end, has some twists and turns. This is a spoiler review. Granted, the movie came out in 2000, so all of our reviews are spoiler reviews. So, guys, what were some thoughts about it?
Oh, so it's a modern classic.
I like that it's like a critique of like the corporate atmosphere in America. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, especially during the 80s.
Yeah, definitely the 80s.
It was really interesting they went with that style of like heavily criticizing and critiquing the corporate world because Patrick Bateman is in that whole world lives in New York City and in that high end of society and really just seems like kind of the stereotypical of just he's above it all and all he cares about himself.
Very materialistic.
And it also kind of subverts the horror killer genre, because usually the killer is not attractive. And we all can agree, Christian Bale was a very, he's an attractive man in this movie.
I mean, he puts in the work. Someone's got to appreciate it.
Appearance is everything to him.
You saw his skincare routine.
It was very impeccable, man.
In the morning, if my face is a little puffy, I'll put on an ice pack while doing my stomach crunches. After I remove the ice pack, I use a deep pored cleanser lotion. In the shower, I use a water-activated gel cleanser, then a honey almond body scrub, and on the face, an exfoliating gel scrub. Then I apply an herb mint facial mask.
And it's very interesting because they do take some of the aspects, like you'll see sometimes with serial killers, he's very narcissistic, he's self-obsessed image, he needs to be in control, needs the affirmation of others, mood swings, and some of this is also stuff you'll find, like they take those characteristics of stuff like you'll find in serial killers.
His life centers all around image. He drugged a lady so that way she wouldn't know that he was in a different restaurant than the one he told her because it wasn't as impressive.
And we've talked about before, he was so upset over his business card and not being as cool as the other people's.
And when you look at the business card, it looks the same to us at normies.
Oh, yeah. But it wasn't egg white or off white. Like something.
And when you saw Paul Allen's car, you knew this man was just devastated.
You heard him when he went to his apartment, too. He has looking over the park or whatever.
So it's like, yeah, it's a better view.
Yeah, it's a better view. And it's probably more expensive than mine.
And then like later in the movie when that woman was telling him, oh, this is nicer than the other apartment. He's like, it's not that nice.
And you can see throughout the whole movie, people do pay him compliments. And each time he gets a compliment, you can tell he really, really enjoys it.
He eats it up.
Well, except for the male coworker who was flirting with him in the bathroom.
He was very uncomfortable then.
So it's like, is it in his mind or pretty interesting?
Well, I have something from the director if you want to know. They said the killings did happen, but towards the end, let's see.
Oh, good. Towards the end, it definitely didn't happen, like when he shot up the cops and stuff.
Well, and the feed me stray cat, yeah. He's just lost it. He's completely lost it.
They said the killings happened, but at some point, the way he perceives it is differently than what actually happened.
But you could see with the director, he's kind of alluding to, like, is this all in his head? Or, like, there's little glimpses you might not catch, but, like, once you hear it, you're like, oh, yeah, this happened. It seemed wacky, but you can kind of see how, like, maybe it was made up. Because even there's that one scene where in the club where she asks, what are you into or something? And he says something about murders and executions. And she replies, oh, mergers and acquisitions. And it's like, what? Kind of making you think, wait, did he think he said that?
When he says, I think it's what he wants to say, but then what they respond with is what he actually, what he said to mask it or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like you said, you think it's in a club, but is that like, because that was one thing I caught of, like, is this like supposed to be hinting slightly of, oh, he's a little losing it?
No, yeah, he's losing it. Because he did a similar thing also in the cleaner scene when he was talking with the lady.
Mm-hmm. It's an unreliable narrator. You can't tell what's real and what's not.
Which is, again, if you're gonna do this twist of like, is it real? You have to establish that he's not. The narrator is not fully reliable. There might be something, like they established that. That's why the end works so well. It's because they've established that. But like rewatching, it's like you can kind of pick up and be like, oh yeah, he's not. Yeah, you kind of see. I saw it more, but it made sense.
He also had the interesting critique on like how the corporate world just doesn't care, because you get the scene where he goes into the apartment trying to clean the bodies, and the apartment's already clean, and so it's like Patrick Bateman is trying to, he's like, pretty much he's trying to get caught at this point, and it's just, and then like no one cares.
Hey, yeah, I could totally see an expensive 1980s New York apartment doing something like that.
Absolutely.
They don't want that bad publicity.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, the way she looked at, she's like alluding like, no, he's never. It's kind of looking, don't come back here. Like, yo, you are not about to cost me money. It was also interesting how they used a lot of things. Like, you kind of saw this corporate entity of really about image. That's all any of them really cared about. And even the way they talked about people, of like, when they have a conversation about women of like, a woman with a good personality is an ugly woman. Their words, not mine. And really just how they viewed stuff like that. All right. So what were some highlights from the movie?
I mean, obviously the car scene. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, that's a delight.
Yeah, it's really funny because it's like, who does this? Like, really all compare, but like, who compares business cards? Like, you guys have never seen me wipe out my business card. Like,
I've never
I
had
think
a
one
business
time
card. I also really like the first two scenes with Bateman and Willem Dafoe.
I did like how they filmed Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe did a great job.
William Dafoe was Donald Kimball.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like those scenes because it was like a cool, like, since he was just an investigator, but you still got that whole like cat and mouse. Does he know?
Do you think he knows?
I honestly don't know.
I think there's too many coincidences. I think there's too many coincidences with like the Huey Lewis, just the stories, and then him mentioning the name at the end, and then him going to the thing about it'll be ludicrous if his friend killed him.
Yeah, because at the end, it's crazy when he looks at him and he's like smiling.
But then he's gonna still, though, with everything, he's gonna have a hard time getting them because nobody knows anybody apparently. And they said he was at dinner when Paul Allen.
Yeah, so I think Willem Dafoe knows he actually did kill people, but he knows that he doesn't have a case because everybody else says Patrick Bateman was with them.
Yep.
And that also kind of shows how like Patrick Bateman kind of like blends in with the crowd, because they just assumed, I guess, that he was there with them.
Well, then he had like his lawyer say he just had dinner or something with Paul Allen.
Well, true.
I was gonna say, I think it shows that they're friends. Like, everybody doesn't care about each other as much as they say they do. It's just another critique about corporate, people that don't care.
Yeah, they're also self-absorbed with themselves. Yeah. Everybody just looks they just know it's just a name. They don't really give a crap about. They're really not close friends. They're just so self-absorbed. And I like, again, this is something, again, they kind of allude to, because when he's originally with Paul Allen, remember, Paul calls him the wrong name the whole time. Yeah. And we think it's because he's drunk. But you start wondering, maybe he actually doesn't know who he is. Maybe this
I think he mentions like something that Paul Allen always gets his name wrong.
Yeah, there's nothing. They're also vain. There's no deep friendship here. No. Like for us. How crazy would it be that you hung out with this dude and you don't even know who he is? Like, we're friends, and to us, like, especially regular people, we would be like, yeah, that's insane. How the heck do you not know who you're hanging out with? Like, the people you hang out with constantly. But to some of them, it's like, no, I really don't care. It's just about impressing these people.
It's all superficial, because like, and it's only like surface level, because remember, like, Patrick Bateman goes into stuff about like racial equality and stuff, and then like 2 scenes later, he's being racist to the cleaners.
His tangents on, no, not tangents, but his synopsis of what the song's meanings are hilarious, and they are well thought out.
He should have gotten out of the corporate world and been a music critic.
Oh yes, and even with how he is when you see the sex scenes of him staring at himself the whole time. It's like, really, he's just that, like, good lord, this dude could care less. And even his girlfriend, Reese Witherspoon's character, it really just seems more of a status thing than anything. He doesn't really want to marry her, because you can tell he doesn't want to marry her because he doesn't really like her at all. Like, I'm just with you because, you know, it just looks good for me.
She was not taking the hint at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, but even they allude to her having an affair with one of his friends.
Or one of those to people. Be fair, he's having affairs every night.
I mean, but I'm saying it even shows like I think even her wanting to marry him was also a status thing. Like, oh well, we're together. Of course, we're married. Like,
this marriage relationship is purely business. I like the one scene where he brings his secretary on a date, and he's just saying the thing. You know, he's saying stuff, and she's interpreting it as romantically, but no, he's literally meaning he doesn't want to hurt her physically because he's thinking about killing her. She's like, oh, you don't want to hurt my heart. No, he probably wants to rip your heart out. Is probably what he wants to do, lady. You might want to take the hit and get out of here.
It's interesting that girl he doesn't really want to hurt, and the other people he didn't really. He's like, whatever. He didn't warn any of the other people. And again, this is very quick. It also comments on hush money. Because remember when the hooker's like, my friend said I should get a lawyer, and then he just writes that check like, oh, you don't want to deal with lawyers. But you don't know what the amount of the check was, but he just gives her a check. It's like, you know, I think it's also an image thing of like, yo, I don't want to get people involved, like, because that's going to be bad. It's not good for my image if you get a lawyer.
He's probably paying off that limo driver too. That driver knows where he's going.
Maybe. Guys, so let's also go into, I know we've talked about it before in one of our previous podcasts. Christian Bale, how good was he?
Oh, that's great. Oh, very great performance.
I mean, you saw his acting in that one of the final scenes of the movie where he's losing it to.
Right, it's like the vein, like the vein around his eyes, like protruding.
He did a great job also just showing emptiness throughout the whole movie.
And this
you believe his character.
I believe this was one of the movies that started really kind of putting him, older Christian Bale, on the map. You also his mood changes all the time. Like when he's literally, before he kills Paul Allen, that famous scene where he's doing like being all talking about the music and being like, oh, doing the like all goofy, and then he just kills him. Then he just like kills him like right off the bat, and how he could just change it so flawlessly. And you're like, oh wow, that's really good. Like he just kept being whatever personality he needed to.
He essentially was playing like multiple different characters, you know, depending on what his needs are. He acts like a completely different person each time.
It is pretty funny that his stepmom protests the film being made, and he's the one that ended up getting the part.
I think
originally Leo was going to be in it.
I was about to say the same thing. I think Leonardo DiCaprio was first going to do it, which
I mean, that would have been
I don't know. Well, I don't know if at this time he would have been good because this is 2000. He wasn't quite. I think it was too early for him.
He'll look too young. He'll look too young.
I still think he would have done fine, but like, yeah, he just doesn't have. I don't know. Christian Bale is 27. Was different.
Yeah, Leo 27 still looks like he's 18.
This movie was also directed by a woman, which is unusual for a horror movie at the time. She did a great job. I mean, she did a unique take. It's a different style horror movie than a lot of people probably expect from the title of it. But I don't know what else she's done, but she did a fantastic job with this one.
I'm not seeing anything too big.
Yeah, I have no idea what she's done.
He actually hasn't directed a whole lot of films. Done some.
Well, I mean, for one movie, might as well be a good movie.
Yeah, it's funny it's hailed, but you would think this movie would have come out right now for the what it's saying, because it really hits corporate capitalism a lot. It's probably a good thing it came out back then, because honestly, if it came out now, people might criticize it for being so woke. But you know, with some of this stuff, but you know,
people would complain because it's also a critique on like toxic masculinity, even back before then it was called that. You know.
Very much so, which might be why I think it's also aged in popularity pretty well. Yeah. So all in all, what are some grades we'd give that?
This is a sophisticated horror movie, really good. I wouldn't say it's scary. So if you're grading on a scary scale, it's not that high. But as far as a movie overall, that's at least a 9, at least.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Especially if you put in the horror/thriller genre, it's definitely a 9.
Give it like 8.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably do a 9.25. Like, it's really good.
Well, fellas, we didn't even talk about the memes from this movie. I mean, the memeability from this movie is all over the map. There's so many.
There's like 20 of them.
So this has definitely hit a pop culture pretty good, especially nowadays with the with memes and everything. So this movie will be remembered for a lot of times for various reasons. So timeless.
Yeah. Like some of the others, this one definitely has withstood the test of time.
But I think his reputation has only gotten better.
I think so. Very well done. Doesn't beat you over the head with anything, so it all kind of says. I think that's also great in writing. It doesn't like beat you over the head with it. So,
I agree. It definitely doesn't preach to you.
I want to see what else came out this year because I'm surprised this movie didn't get like any award. I don't think it really got any awards.
Well, I don't think it was that popular when it came out. I think it's just.
No, I don't think it was very popular when it came out. A lot of people complain about the violence against women in it.
Yeah, it's violent nature.
Its budget was $7 million, so low budget movie. It grossed, or it made $34.3 million at the box office. So not really that much.
Yeah, it said the mid-20s. It started getting a cult following and has grown 2010s, and I think also because of meme culture, it also really helped the popularity with so many. Yeah, with all of the scenes. It's funny because if it probably came out now, I feel it would do very well.
Oh yeah.
People are desperate for good acting. That's why Oppenheimer does well. People are desperate for something that's not a sequel or remake or reboot.
Well, it's something good that's not a sequel.
There's
been other stuff that's been pure trash. Especially something like this, because it kind of is like, it would be like Get Out, of still having something to say about society, but as well being more of a psychological thriller.
Get Out's a bit more obvious about their themes.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, word of mouth, would have really gone out of like, you should really see it because of this. But so all in all, good movie. Well done. Like we said, let us know your thoughts if you've seen it. Let us know your comments below. Also, let us know what movies you want to see us do. So just to give you an idea of our schedule coming up, in November, we plan to do planes, trains, and automobiles, since that's kind of the closest thing we can find to something Thanksgiving themed. And then in December, we are going to do Where Are No Angels for our Christmas.
Where Are No Angels.
Where Are No Angels. In January, we're going to be hitting an action classic. You know that Jake and I are big fans of this franchise, John Wick.
Huge fans.
Cannot wait. So we got some cool ones coming up for the next several months. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave your comments below. Again, my name's Legacy.
And I'm Max.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Jay.
All right, and may the discussions begin. See ya.